Understand and know what is about to play out. So grab the yams and leave the ham. We're about to go into how they're saying they want the internet to be, and they brought out new technology to monitor you in your sleep. Also, Biden has this red alert situation going on, hooked up with China, we're about to get into. But first, we're going to show you this video. We need the VA, you know what, to immunize ourselves. The same is true for cyber attacks. Here, too, we have to move from simple protection to immunization to build IT infrastructure that have digital antibodies built in inherently to protect themselves. Cyber Polygon 2021. This was just a new meeting where they came out and talked about it.
The ability to withstand a virus attack. In other words, masks are not sufficient. We need vaccines to immunize ourselves. The same is true for cyber attacks. Here too, we have to move from simple protection to immunization. We need to build IT infrastructures that have digital antibodies built in inherently to protect.
He's talking about the infrastructure to fight misinformation, the infrastructure to censor your text in law of time, like we were saying, if you so-called have misinformation sent. And that's why it's important to get all this information out before it goes down. And so basically he's talking about centralizing power across the digital infrastructure as this reset starts to begin. And so this is the new age and model that they're pushing for. And he said he wants to do this between corporations and companies. And so they begin their first move by telling you this next. This was like right after pretty much all that happened. Snooze sensor. Amazon granted permission to monitor you sleeping as tech giant develops a mystery radar device. Now I get it. Oh, they already been monitoring you in your sleep. Well, this is a little bit more advanced because it's not just about people who has the technology in their houses. Now they're deploying a radar sensors. And basically, they're getting ready for the social credit system. Amazon was given green light by federal regulators to deploy the Federal Communications FCC on Friday, gave Amazon Inc. the go-ahead to utilize radar sensor technology to detect motion in 3 dimensions and enable contactless sleep tracing functionalities. Document, please. July 9th. Oh, right during Cyber Polygon, July 9th, 2021. And it goes in to say, we're just going to read you a second real quick to show you what it's talking about. Radar sensor that would operate in 57 to 64 gigahertz. Specifically, Amazon requests to operate radar sensor in identical power levels and technical parameters as those granted to Google in 2018. So what's the significance with radar sensors being 57 to 64 gigahertz? Anybody in the comments who knows about all this gigahertz technology? And it goes in to say, in further distinguishing its anticipated devices being non-mobile and only operating when connected to power source, and states that it plans to use the radar's capability of capturing motion in 3-dimensional space to enable contact sleep tracing. So again, when the grid changes, then they'll all be like, oh, well, we can just see them every time they sleep. They want to penalize you for a lot of things you do. And that's pretty much where we're moving with this whole system. Now, Biden, he did something pretty much with China as this huge military exercise kicks off in Australia amid tensions with China. So you got a massive multinational exercise led by Australian forces kicked off pretty much today. On its surface, pretty much 17,000 troops from Australia, U.S. militaries, as well as forces from UK, Canada, Japan, New Zealand, Republic of Korea to practice operating together. However, exercise also comes as challenging time in U.S.-China relations. And China is pretty much sending out a spy plane or ship, a spy ship to go and watch this operation. So during the Cyber Polygon situation, what do you think really is going to happen? The internet situation. They go from there, isolation, quarantine of communities. I just showed you that. And something interesting I found out about that post I put out yesterday in that video. The video was titled, let's go back real quick. The video was titled, Attention, is Reading Big Near You? If you go back to that thing, you'll see the map has been completely taken down. So a day after that video was put out, the map was taken down to where it was actually happening. But Illinois is the next training session on the 22nd this month to when they start doing the next part of the isolation quarantine. So here's what Biden is setting up. Biden administration looks to set up Red Phone to China for emergency communications. And if you missed the video yesterday, I talked about they want a rapid response when they do the isolation and stuff like that, and the response to the whole situation. They want to be able to just hit you with the patch. And then after that, it's just that simple. They said as rapidly, as quick. John Hopkins says it's a good idea. And so again, Biden administration looks to set up Red Phone to China for emergency communication July 14, 2021. So you're telling me Biden need to set up red alert communications that they had to set up during the Cold War? And then China and Biden, ain't they like hand in hand? Ain't they working pretty good right now behind the scenes? The Biden administration is examining the possibility of setting up an emergency hotline with Chinese government similar to the so-called Red Phone established between U.S. and Soviet Union during the Cold War, which allowed for direct communication with the Kremlin as a way to avert nuclear war. So you only need those communications if you have that infrastructure, that emergency communication line, when something happens in the infrastructural situation, don't you think? And it goes in to say, while the concept is still in its infancy, it has yet to be formally raised by Chinese. The Biden administration wants to develop a rapid communication tool that could be folded into a broader effort to reduce risk of conflict between U.S. and China, according to U.S. official and another source familiar with earlier conversations about the device. Well, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he wants to go into conflict, and maybe then he starts to communicate. And remember, Biden sold the U.S. grid over to China already, and I told you on the video a while ago about that. So why does that look like it's the perfect setup of events? Please donate to support the broadcast. We're here daily, putting out the information Monday through Friday for you. And about this, and what do you think the coming ongoing looming situation will be once the infrastructure is hit? But they say they want to immunize the internet, meaning they want it completely wiped of what it used to be, under control and monitored. But that conscious and power and free will that we have will still be floating free in the atmosphere, even if the internet is like that. Remember that. Thanks for tuning in.